Welcome to my channel. I am so excited to be talking to you guys on this platform now. Today's video is simply just an introduction to who I am, who is Destiny, who is DXS Studio. I don't know, but we'll figure it out today. So let's get into it. I started design roughly, I want to say like 2 years ago, so I'm fresh. I'm super fresh. This is a journey. That's why I always call it design journey, my creative journey. I'm here with you guys doing the same thing, thinking the same things, going through the same exact struggles, like I promise you. What inspired me to become a brand designer? Honestly, y'all, I had a jewelry business prior to entering this world. It went really well, but eventually I did end up dropping that. So I did think like, okay, Destiny, like what did you like doing? And I was just like, oh wow, I like designing my website. I loved creating my business cards. Like all of those things were super fun. What is that called? Like, what do you call that? Design, graphic design. After that, I went down a rabbit hole of researching this world. And then I kind of determined, okay, where do I fall on the spectrum of being a designer? What tools and software do I use? I'm gonna name like my main three. So the main three software that I use is Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, and Notion. To kind of break it down, Adobe Illustrator is where I create all of my logos. I've never created a logo in Photoshop. I don't know how y'all do it. I use Photoshop primarily for mockups. Notion is my hub, so I have everything organized in there. All of my thoughts, my client portal, the list goes on when it comes to what is in my Notion and how I use it. Diving deep on what you guys can expect from this channel, I want it to be whatever I feel like posting. I feel like my Instagram is a design page, right? That is what you're gonna get and that is what you're gonna see on there. But this channel, I also want to share more behind the scenes, more things that I'm interested in, like travel. What is my life like? What is it like balancing being a designer and just all of the other things that I go through? What is my creative process? This is like really, it's a tricky question, but it's not at the same time for me. I almost want to say I don't have a process, but of course I do. I will take all of the information that I've discussed with the client from the initial call, the strategy phase, and I'll do bullet points. Bullet points of keywords that we've discussed. Maybe they said they want bold, vibrant, colorful, and they're a jewelry business. I'll write all of that information down. I'll go over to Pinterest, do my research. Of course, most of my clients do create Pinterest boards for me, so tagging in their Pinterest board, my research, and then of course research about their industry. Tying all of that together, that is how I then create the logo design. What keeps me motivated? I would give myself time. Like I am not in the position of rushing myself out of this feeling. Like of course you want to put a timer on. You don't want it to last a week or months or whatever the case may be, but you definitely don't want to push yourself to get back into a place that you're not ready to be into. I would give myself roughly, I want to say like 2 days. If it does take longer, it takes longer. So maybe like a max week. Within that time, I am doing things or taking steps to get back into it because of course this is something that I care about. This is something that I will continue doing. So I have to prioritize it and I have to be intentional about that. One thing that I have done in the past is I would create a vision board for the month. Set that as my lock screen on my phone. I would set as my lock screen on all my computers, all my devices, and continue to look at that on a daily basis so that I can stay aligned and stay motivated. Sometimes I would have to delete social media because listen, I'm human and I compare myself to others at times. I'm gonna be real. I will go onto my business page and just scroll and just watch other designers and just take inspiration from other designers who are where I want to be. The best thing, like I say, you can do is just be graceful to yourself and just be intentional with taking those steps to pull yourself out of this funk. What are my challenges of being a brand designer? My biggest challenge of being a brand designer is time management. Oh my gosh, time management just eats me up. Like I cannot describe to you like how hard it is for me to manage my time. This has always been a thing for me. This is not just since being a designer. This has always been a feat for me entire life. Balancing school, then you have your own personal work life if you do work outside of brand design. At the time I did as well. And then also just balancing family. So all of that was so tricky, but if there's a will, there's a way. If there's a way, there's a will. I don't know the saying, but listen, you'll get past it. You just gotta keep pushing. Another challenge for me as a designer is content. Oh my gosh, content, y'all. Content is so hard, and it's not the creating part that's hard. It's the overconsumption of social media and having to constantly be present. Oh Lord, I just hit the nail on the head with that one. Like, that is so consuming. Like, oh my gosh, I have to post a reel. Or like, say if it's been like a week, like as of now, it's been, I want to say a week since I posted. It will sit in the back of my head like, you haven't posted, you haven't posted, you haven't posted. Like, you know, like they always say, oh, if Instagram was to shut down today, what would you do? Hey, I don't know. Because right now, I didn't figure all of that out right now. I'm still trying to get past point A, okay? I'm still trying to figure out point A and work with that. Another challenge for me is just balancing work and life. So just having that work-life balance. Yeah, it kind of ties into that time management, like I said, but it's just, again, one of those things that is extremely tricky because you start to feel a little guilty. At least for me, I start to feel a little guilty if I'm giving too much time to one or the other. So say if I'm spending too much time on my computer, too much time working, it's like, oh my gosh, but what about my family? Like, I have to pour into them too. Okay, so now I'm over here with my family. Okay, but what about my business? I'm neglecting. I haven't posted. I haven't said this. I didn't do this. I didn't accomplish this. I didn't do this. Go, like, y'all don't want to know what goes on up here, okay? It can be a mess sometimes. It can be a mess sometimes, but this is the real. This is the real. There's no pretending here. There's no lies. This is not a gimmick. This is the real. And at the end of the day, it's just organized chaos. Another question someone asked me is, what do I do when I have a creative block? When I have a creative block, Pinterest. Pinterest is my best friend. I like to refer back to the inquiry form and then the client's branding questionnaire. And I like to do those things specifically because they wrote it. When it's something that they wrote, it's something that they want. And then I also like to look for words that repeat themselves. Excuse me, even during conversations, I like to listen out for words that my client repeats. Going over that information and then also going over my own notes. Again, I'm a bullet point girl, so I bullet point all of that information, and then I make sure that when I'm looking through Pinterest or looking through Google, wherever you look, being specific with those keywords and trying to find what I'm looking for. Also, a huge tip that I'm trying to implement myself is that if you have an idea, just deliver, just go for it. Just start doing it with an illustrator. Don't think about it and say, oh, if I swirl the tea, it could look like that. Oh, you know what? But it's not gonna work by connecting this. No, just implement it. Once you implement it, you can actually then see what will work and what won't work. Of course, when you're creatively blocked, it's important to, again, take a break. Sitting at this computer all day, frying your brain, trying to think so hard on trying to come up with a design is just too much, and it can be very strenuous. So I always suggest just taking a break, giving yourself some time, and just coming back to it. Wrapping this up, the last question is how do you get into design? If you really want to be a brand designer, graphic designer, logo designer, I would say do your research. That's what I did. I did my research. I jumped right into it. I immediately went on Adobe's website and I did a free trial for Illustrator and I think Photoshop as well. And I just dove into it. I went into ChatGPT. I had them create a brief for me and I just started designing that way while also watching YouTube videos on how to get certain looks that I was going for. But yeah, I just kind of jumped right into it. And and I would suggest the same thing. Don't think about it too hard to where you then your brain starts creating self-doubt. I would just say go for whatever you want. Oh yeah, and then again, most importantly, create an Instagram account and start sharing your work. You don't have to be this huge designer to begin sharing. You don't have to be at a certain place within your designs. Grow with your audience. Whether that's you learning how to create customized typography, make that a series if that's not something you know how to do. Bring an audience on the journey with you and your page will probably take off. But yes, so that concludes this Q&A. I hope you guys got a little bit more insight on who I am, who is Destiny Lorraine, who is DXS Studio. But I hope you guys got a better idea of all of that information. I hope I was able to help you with some things that I shared during this conversation. If you guys want to see anything particular from me on this page, comment it down below, or you guys can send me a message on Instagram. My DMs are always open to you guys for any tips, any tricks, or advice, whatever the case may be. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next time.